Okay.
Hey, Spiderhound here. And today my guests are dear friends of mine, Lexi and Julie, aka Illexxandra and DJ Shakey. Illexxandra is a longtime staple of the Brooklyn Underground with music spanning sound system culture, global bass, future sounds, and classic club styles. And DJ Shakey is legendary New York City dance club and underground party DJ who's expanded to produce original music and perform nationally and internationally. She's also an avid record collector. I had the pleasure of seeing like a tiny portion of her record collection, and it was like, insane. As well as a live electronic musician, having founded the Controllerism movement.
It's true. That sounds like hyperbole, but it's true.
I know, and I can't wait to dig into it. But so Illexxandra Shakey joined forces on the Bass Arithmetic EP, which is dedicated to the artists, producers, and engineers that go the extra mile to bring their listeners bass ecstasy in their highest form. Lexi and Julie, welcome. How are you?
I'm clapping for myself. I don't know what I'm doing.
Thank you, Sean. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, wait, off camera. Oh, thanks, everybody.
Well, I had to say because I know you're not ones to toot your own horn. So like I just had to set the stage because I mean you are legendary. You're so prolific. You are the busiest DJs I know. Like you play more shows than God, and that's actually going to be my first question. Is like how often do you play shows? Like it seems like you play shows like practically every night.
Sure. Well, it's delicate because it's delicate to answer that right now because the world's still recovering from lockdown and everything. So still a lot, but it's easier to answer what's our normal schedule pre-COVID.
Right. So what was your normal schedule pre-COVID?
I mean, it's probably like a few days a week, but for every day that you're performing, you have probably at least a day of preparation where you're speaking with clients or promoters and making contracts and downloading and processing music and putting together playlists, and then there's travel and fancy outfits and so it's there's a lot of work besides what's on stage. People see you on stage and they say, oh, you only work for 2 hours or something, but they don't see what goes on behind the scenes. It takes a lot.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's maybe not so flashy to say we DJ lots of different kinds of events, from rock star stuff, absolutely, of all different styles, and then we're vendors for events essentially too. And so it's but even just within clubland or like rockstar land, doing so many different kinds of things is it's like an obstacle course. It's so many different kinds of people to negotiate with, and so many different kinds of music to keep up on, and so many different styles of DJing. I mean, I think especially in producer land, like the subtle art of DJing. I mean, many producers that we know will readily say they came into it through producing first and adapted to being DJs, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, of course. We came from a different direction, and and I think in producer land, even when there's a workshop on DJing or something, there's not a lot of like there's like the 101, and then there's not really like the 201 and the 301, and so my point is all those different styles, all those different genres and scenes we play in also incorporate different styles of DJing, like hard banging for an hour, mm-hmm. or long journeys, and much more than just those two poles. So it's a wonderful and invigorating obstacle course.
Yeah, or maybe like a decathlon.
Yeah,
like
or a triathlon.
Or a triathlon. She stole that from me.
She came up with that earlier, not for the interview, just for like our own idea.
Like literally 30 minutes ago.
It's totally Shakey's idea. The triathlon.
It could be a good. It could be a good EP title.
Exactly. We're a team.
We're a team.
I can't wait to hear the triathlon EP.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. We'll end up with these crazy weekends where we'll play a roller disco on a Friday night, and then a party, like a rave in the park in the afternoon, and then some crazy Brooklyn wedding with like a person from Holland and a person from Jamaica getting married,
or
and
whatever,
then the
and
next
then like
day
a sex
there'll be
party at night, and then an
sex
after party,
and then a jungle party the next day.
Yeah,
and then we'll sit down and we'll produce bass music, and then we'll get on a bus and go to a festival where we're playing mostly house. So it's, we're just like always like,
it's amazing. Like
we do all kinds of stuff, but that's sort of the fact that we do that, and we have been doing that for years and years and years. It's all these little pieces sneak into our bass music, and when you hear the music, and when we talk about it, we can sort of dissect the little pieces that are coming from all these different directions. And you'll just be like, oh,
Shakey and I have known each other a long time. And one thing she said early in our friendship that always stuck with me, that I've lived my life by, I've incorporated it, is that all these different pursuits, all these different DJ pursuits, musical pursuits, are the best possible cross training for each other. And so, we don't do all these other things explicitly for the sake of like making bass music awesomer. Nevertheless, all of our background, with different samples and styles of sampling and styles of producing, absolutely filter in and is a lot of what I think makes our music unique.
Yeah, definitely, because we have a huge scope of influences that I can think of very few people who have as many diverse influences as we do, certainly in the bass community.
100%. And I'm always like so impressed when I get to see you perform live, because like you have endless crates of music with like rare cuts like nobody's heard before, and like your knowledge of like all the different genres, all the different decades. Like you could easily go from like world music to bass music to drum and bass to like just name the genre, disco. Name the genre.
Like I assume something similar is true for Shakes, but that's when I'm my happiest. Like I love being part of a scene, contributing to a scene, whatever that scene is, especially bass music, of course. And yet I can't deny I am in my like happy place when the environment facilitates moving through all these different things. Because like I music doesn't exist in a vacuum, and even in a scene, I'm not harping on just on bass music at all, but it's just our, an easy frame of reference. Whatever the scene is, it's easy to get really wrapped up in like that thing, and I love that too. I just love the journey, and I love the like bass music no scene exists in a vacuum. That's what I was gonna say, and bass music is awesome because of its how it reflects what came before it and what's coming next, and the contrast, not even like the lineage, but how it is different. Why I like all these different genres is not just to be like obsessive compulsive or whatever. I like them because they are such beautiful jewels, and I want to share all the different jewels with everybody. So I don't know if that makes sense. I'm kind of like riffing.
No, it absolutely does. And yeah. I love all kinds of music, and that's why when I get to see you perform, like it's just like it's right up my alley, because you cover all the bases, and it's just really
glad to hear it.
It's really fun to be a part of. And like what I'm curious about, and I'm sure you might have different answers for this, but because I perform infrequently, like when I prepare for a set, like I go over the top, I over prepare, right? Down to like I know exactly what I'm gonna play. But I would imagine, since you've been doing it for so many years, and because you have so many shows, Have you gotten to the point where you could just improv, like just off the, like you feel so comfortable that you could just like go in and be like, yep, I'm just gonna go by the seat of my pants. just go.
Well, I never do that. I mean, I not for a bass show.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that there are, I don't know, I probably could do that, but there's a couple of things. One is, since I do play so many different kinds of shows, and there's some music that goes in multiple shows that I would do, like say a heavy twerky bass song might be good where I'm playing like a hip hop set, but it would also be good in a bass set. So, and I'm always digging for things all the time and freshening up different sets, and say, I might be freshening up 3 different sets because I just played 3 shows last week. And then I have a bass set coming up, and I know that in these other 3 sets, there's new stuff that I need to put into the bass crate. And I mean, I could really talk about this for a very long time. So, because like when I do a show, I like to incorporate different elements. One of the things I like to do is to have some new stuff and a little bit of older stuff, and then maybe some slower stuff and some faster stuff. And I mean, and there's many things I like to incorporate. I like the set itself to be diverse from a number of different angles, because I feel like that reaches out to different people who are in the crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
There's people who are in the crowd who want to hear old favorites, and there's people in the crowd that want to hear stuff they never heard before. And then there's people in the crowd that want to hear stuff by our favorite artists. And there's people in the crowd that want to hear stuff by us. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. So when I prepare for a set, like I think about all these things and reach into these different categories, and pull stuff. But then you have to make all of that stuff work together. So I listen to it and I kind of feel like maybe a thing's going to work in this mix and maybe it's not. I don't know. Because basically what I want when I get onto the stage is I want to have taken the set as far as I can take it, but then have choices in case I want to go into a different direction or lean into a certain feel based on the audience reaction. I know there's some DJs, they prepare their set. When they get on the stage, they do the set that's exactly the way they planned it. And that's fine. But I don't know, maybe it's just because I've performed so many events where you really have to seduce the crowd, like open format events or house music events where it's like, or roller disco events where it's like, you have to capture the crowd. You're there to sort of seduce them. That's just my mindset. I just feel like I have to have some flexibility within the set to match the mood. I feel obliged to do that. And that's just where I'm coming from.
So is your answer, you prepare or you improvise?
Well, I prepared to improvise.
Right.
That.
That's
as far as I can, and then I have options. It's many options to go in any direction I can.
So just to follow up on how you read the room, I'm curious. Like, what is your method for reading the room? Like, is there a certain amount of people that have to be digging it for you to be sure about your choice, or is it like, if there's just one person in the crowd that's not having a good time, your job becomes, I gotta turn that person.
I mean, that's kind of the way I think, to be honest with you.
Which one?
I want everybody to be engaged. I know that's like sort of impossible, but that's my goal. And you can just feel it, people, you see people smiling, you see, are people looking at their phones? Because as soon as someone's not engaged, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to start looking at their phone, or they're going to go to the bar and get a drink, or they're going to turn and talk to their friend. All of these things you can see from the stage to a degree. I mean, I'm not playing in front of 20,000 people where I can't look out and say, oh, hey, that guy number 1996 is looking at his phone. But at the level I'm at now, where probably the most people I've ever played for is like a few thousand. I mean, you can tell, you can look out,
Right.
and you can see how you're doing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, we were just talking with Shakey's nephew, because he was describing school DJs that have failed at his school, and he said something that was very familiar. We didn't talk about it afterwards, but it was very familiar to Shakey and I. He was saying, "Oh, these are the wrong songs, and these are the wrong songs," and we're like, "What are the right songs?" And he said, "Well, if you just start out with some of the right songs, then you can play anything." And we didn't like comment to him or to each other, but that's something that's very familiar to us. Is you in a way, there are many times where you kind of can please everyone. You just don't. It's just not. You play one song and every single person likes it. You like hook. Just like she said, there's different interests within the group, even if it's like just bass music or something. There's different interests floating around. And so if you light up this sector and light up this sector, you know, if you get people jazzed, you know, it's the sum is greater than the parts at a certain point, you know, and so then there's like a buzz, and then you can have more flexibility. You've earned the moment to then introduce something unexpected that in context of the thing they like delights them. And I think it does work even with just one person too. Like it's not even an either or thing. You know, there's plenty of times where I very intentionally played a song. I thought, oh, of these songs, I would like to play this next. I think, is it gonna work? And then, you know, I recognize like one person out there that's grooved to something similar, or for better or worse, you sometimes, you know, you have to read demographics as a DJ, and you think, oh, that person's gonna love this. And it's totally worked. Like I've played blank genre, it doesn't even matter what it is. And like, I know that one person, I mean, I can think of many different contexts where that one person knew it and they light up, so everyone around them lights up, you know. And then so like through methods like that, you kind of can hook everyone. You kind of can please everyone.
Yeah, we have kind of a funny story from the Knitting Factory gig that we when we warmed up for Illgates that you attended. When we walked in there, we saw one guy who had the snapback with all the pins on it. Yeah. And the tie-dye shirt and the, you know, necklace and everything. And we're like, that's our guy. That's our guy. And
yeah, you got to identify the party starters. For sure.
I mean, and it was that we felt that person was so committed to the scene that if we won him over,
we were good.
That we were good. So we watched him. He was in the front, and we watched him. And then when he started dancing, we high-fived each other. We're like,
that's true.
This one dude. I was like, look, he's dancing. And then we were like, yes. Because we were like, we did it. We made it.
And we ended up seeing him at 2 other shows in the coming
this is unbelievable.
Oh,
shortly after, I met Shakey at Noisia, the final Brooklyn Noisia show. And she said, meet me by this pole, that pole, whatever. And I met her there. And she happened to not realize she was standing right behind this same guy.
Right next to that same dude.
And then at that show, his friend very, very forcefully and accidentally elbowed me in the nose. Like, really messed up my nose. Oh no. And
so we bonded.
We did. I mean, not at that moment. Because then a couple weeks later, we saw this same guy, not the elbow guy, but the original guy, at Dirt Monkey. We went to Dirt Monkey in Brooklyn.
Nice.
And I reminded him of all the times that we had just met and, you know, got acquainted. And I brought up the elbow thing, and that was my nose. And that was like the real bonding moment, because he was like, oh, my friend felt so bad. I'm so glad to learn that you're okay, because my friend keeps being worried about it.
Yeah, it was so funny that we kept seeing this person over and over again. But yeah, we were it really did boil down to that one person who we could clearly see was a super fan.
Right.
And we're like, you know, if we could impress the super fan
of bass music,
then, you we felt good about that.
Yeah. By the way, I do have a different answer than Shakey does.
Please lay it on us.
For higher profile bass scene events or drum and bass scene or whatever scene, but like that kind of situation that I participate in. These days I will do more pre-planning somewhat. However, I do prepare to not prepare. Like I welcome playing shows and sets that I have not pre-planned. I do enough obsessive music organizing. I mean, enough that it like interferes with my production. I do enough obsessive music organizing and tagging that I do welcome the opportunity to be plugged in anywhere at a moment's notice and rock. And I'm very successful at it, if I may say so. And I don't know. I yearn for that challenge, and it goes along with putting different genres together too. Like I relish in the challenge of, oh, now it's time to do this. I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna rock it. I'm gonna come correct with freestyle or come correct with just like a different kind of bass music. And then it also speaks to something Shakey mentioned was, not only do I like diversity in music and pursue all these different scenes very enthusiastically, I mean, ideally at a professional level, all these different scenes, but even variety within bass music sets. And I know you've perceived this from me, from us being, Sean and you and I being together in different circumstances, even if I'm just playing a bass set, and even if it's like really like all, very bass scene songs, like I'm not even trying to like stretch the definition of what bass music or a bass set is, even still within that, I am definitely trying to go on a journey. It's not just like wah, 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 banger, banger, banger.
Right.
I'm really like trying to like set up these different levels and different textures and emotions within bass music, and even in a single short set.
Right. That's what I love about your sets. And like, so I remember you were kind enough to invite me to that gig in Washington D.C. where we played in front of the Washington Monument, and I just had one set that night on the bass stage. But I think you had like 5 sets that night or something.
I think I did 4. Yeah,
four sets, and they were all different. Like one was like world. It was like world international kind of.
Yeah. So I did one at the stage of my dear friends Meso Creso, and that was all like global. And of course, there's a lot of bass scene adjacent textures and whatever I'm playing, but so there's like global bass involved, but it's all like world music, and that went off. And
it totally went off. I was on the floor. People were having so much fun.
I have video.
Yeah.
The floor. It was such a great set. And you just had your Serato, and you must have had like a bajillion songs in your Serato. You're just like,
here. I'll tell you my DJ set, my carefully curated DJ set. So I have tons of music. Obviously, I have like an 8 terabyte hard drive, external hard drive. We could talk just on. Just to describe the cartography of my hard drive would be a whole hour conversation. But I have plenty of music that I'm not about to reference that's like wedding music or corporate event music or just pop music that I know, if I'm playing like a mixed crowd, that's all separate from what I'm about to say. But my, let me make sure I'm getting the grand total here. My DJ set, like my carefully curated, it's not even going to show them all. So see, my hard drive's not plugged in, that's why. The songs that I will pour over a song, like I will torture myself over, does this song go in my master DJ, in my like overall DJ set? Does this song belong, like, am I marrying this song or not? Do I think this is one of the best songs that was ever made, regardless of genre?
Right.
And so it's very rare that I prune it. It's very rare that I feel I need to prune it, because I like love it. And I don't get tired of like genres, you know what I mean? And I don't get tired of eras. So like I keep it moving. I'll keep it all in circulation. So The total of that single playlist that has all of those things together, I have to do some math because I can't move it all over without my hard drive, but it's the 8722 plus, where's take control? Let's see. So let's just say 87, like 8,800
Wow.
songs.
Wow.
And that's in front of me all the time because I don't separate into, I am unique. And I have, I've had this conversation with other DJs, and other DJs, have incorporated this. And I'm sure I'm not the only one to come up with that on my own, but I don't do playlists. I mean, I will do maybe like a playlist focused on a certain event, or like, if I'm really excited about the event or whatever, or just like that's more like ideas that I might play at a gig. But I don't have folders that perpetually exist. Like, this is my house folder, and this is my halftime folder, and this is my dance hall folder. It's all this one folder.
Wow.
And what I do instead is I meticulously tag the genre field.
Got it.
And in basically a similar way to what folder it might be in, except it's very, very fluid. Like I tag it with the genre that it is, that I think it is, and also genres that I would play it with. And then sometimes even I get to, like there's some tags that are for like in club names or environments that are shortcuts for that kind of scene. And then I have, there's just some moods that I have involved with that. And therefore I can type basically just whatever I'm feeling, like really in a very, very fluid way. I could type it, the word I use is not global, but I could type global. And like sometimes my tags are a beat structure. So like dembo or plena is like, just for like, I'm not making a comment on the genre dembo at that time. I'm just thinking of the beat pattern, or, whatever beat pattern. And then I have a tag for songs where there are women as the primary contributor. So I can get like global with a certain kind of beat pattern, but not restricted to a certain country or language. And then contributions from women. And then, if within that, something that has even more like a housey beat, I could type house on top of that, or really like anything, and get a very efficient list of songs in front of myself, and then pick the best one. And that happens in a split second.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. So like I have carefully curated, like it's like smart playlists essentially,
right,
just based on stream of consciousness. And that's always in front of me. And that's why I'm always excited to jump into any environment.
Right. And so do you have any, I'd like to know, like, if this is for both of you, like, do you have a rule where like, okay, like say if you have a show last night, you have a show tonight, right? Do you have a rule where like, all right, you're in the show tonight and you're going through your playlist, and do you say to yourself, oh no, I played that last night. No, I played that last night. I'm not going to play it tonight. Or does that not matter?
For me, it depends on if it's the same ears.
Okay.
Yeah, the same
people.
Me too.
I try not to heavily repeat things to the same ears. Like if I was playing for Ill Gates in New York and warming up for Ill Gates in Philly, there would be some crossover. But if I was playing for Ill Gates in New York on a Friday and warming up for Ill Gates on a Saturday, I might do two completely different sets.
Right.
If humanly possible.
Right.
And I also want to kind of piggyback on what you said about that event in DC that you were at, because actually that really heavy bass set that I played that you were present for, that was completely off the dome, because the reason for
that was really good too.
That was,
that was good.
Oh,
it was really good.
Oh, thank you. Well, the thing was that when I played the Mezzo Crezo set, there was a lot of people there, and the people who were throwing the event were there, and I felt a lot of pressure to keep the dance floor dancing, and in a good way.
Right.
But the set that I played that you heard of, that really heavy bass stuff, at that set there was nobody present.
There was nobody.
People were throwing. I was
Yeah.
just like, where is everybody? I thought it was going to be like a big party.
Right.
And when I got there, like, I think there was just one guy who was like, okay, good, sit up over there. And there was nobody in front
Right.
of the thing. And I was like, okay, I guess I can just pretty much play anything I want.
Anything you want.
And
Yeah.
you were standing there. So I said, oh, I'm just going to play stuff for Sean.
I loved it.
So I just, yeah, basically that was your custom set, Sean.
And there was some dude on a bicycle who set up a makeshift projector, and he started projecting visuals onto the, do you remember that guy?
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, some dude, he rode up on a bicycle and he had this like makeshift projector, and then he just started projecting visuals onto the tent.
That's really cool. I
Oh,
remember, yeah.
wow, that's cool. So we made it nice. But yeah, I mean, I kind of stole her metadata idea years ago, and
Smart.
now I have all the extensive metadata as well. And for situations like that, yeah, I just rock it with the metadata. I mean, it depends on the gig. For, you know, some environments, like with bass music, people expect new music. Whereas
Yeah.
if I play at the roller disco, they expect old music. So, you know, I do play new music at the roller disco also, but they want a lot of throwbacks, and they want disco classics and things like that. And
Right.
so in a situation like that, I could probably just play off of what I already have. But my mindset is always to be evolving, always to have the people come up to me and say, darn it, I saw you 2 weeks ago and now you have all this new stuff. You know, that's just the way I think. I always want to have new stuff.
Yeah.
But
So lesson learned for me is like, it's all about the tagging, because like I don't until this
Well-
interview, I don't tag my tracks. I do the playlist thing where like I'll set up like playlists
Yeah.
by like genres.
I do
and
playlists
stuff
too.
like that.
I do
Yeah.
playlists and I tag.
Right.
Yeah,
Tagging
I
seems like the way to go. That's the move.
It's pretty slick. I don't really do playlists unless it's like I said, thoughts for an upcoming event. But
Right.
It is hard to rely on this metadata scheme technique when you're doing record box with sticks, because the technology hasn't been designed to catch up with this idea. Like,
Yeah,
you can't.
good point.
It's only on the very newest things are there like on the newest round of Pioneer gear can you type, and
Right.
it doesn't always search all the fields. It doesn't like on Recordbox
Yeah.
DJ or on Serato, like something on a laptop, it is agnostic to the different metadata fields. Like all the ID3 fields are equally relevant in the search results. So this works, you know. But with the CDJs and stuff, it's not. I fully think it's going to eventually be flexible enough to do what I do, but it isn't like doing it yet.
Right.
So
Actually, it's kind of interesting because that Dirt Monkey show that we saw recently, and this was like 2 weeks ago,
very
maybe,
recently.
if that, this was somebody who is like a popular DJ that gets booked in festivals, and we're fans of his production, but his set was probably the closest set we've ever heard from a bass producer to what we would want to do, because he played a little bit of like bassy house music, and he played some up-tempo stuff, and he played drum
cool.
and bass, and he played
and this
regular
is like a
bass music
person
altogether.
well known for dubstep, and yet
Right.
he's doing all
Yeah,
these different things.
yeah, but he was using a laptop, which just, to me, it just, from a cultural point of view, for him to play diverse music that's bass and sound design oriented, and being using a laptop so he can, you know, call stuff up by typing, like that's kind of our tribe, you know, at this point in time, you know. So we kind of felt really good about seeing him, because we're like, usually when we see people play, they're kind of a different tribe, you know. They're not that diverse, and they're using the sticks, and we look at them, we say, shit, man, we're not going to ever be that. We're not going to ever be people who play all the same thing for the same set.
Right.
And we're probably not going to be using the sticks. But then we saw Dirt Monkey, and we're like, that's the guy. That's the
Right.
guy who plays like us.
I mean, I can see, I mean, I am expecting and planning for a world when I'm of a certain caliber, a certain status as a name, where if I'm touring, I mean, it would be exhausting to create a whole new set every time. I mean,
Right.
I understand and respect that a certain kind of artist context and a certain kind of tour style, it facilitates that working well if you have a certain core set over and over for that run, and that makes sense to me. But even within that, there's a potential for a lot of flexibility. I mean, we just as you did the same weekend, opened for Illgates in Brooklyn that weekend, and then I a few weeks later was working in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and when my gig was over, I went and saw Illgates play at Meow Wolf.
Oh,
Yeah,
Nice.
and we coordinated there. And
we like Mel.
I was
It looks
talking
awesome.
with him afterwards about how different those two sets were, because I was expecting them to be fairly similar.
Right.
And he had some words to say about it. I won't go into it, but so even within that, I acknowledge there's room for diversity. And also, one of our favorite sets we ever saw from Sam Binga at Shambhala. We've seen Sam Binga, a number of times, and we were particularly enthusiastic about that set. And without like blowing up his spot, he had a different recollection of that set, and he thought he was pushing what he had brought with him hard in a certain kind of direction that might not have been exactly what he would play in another set on that tour. I'm just trying to be judicious with how I'm phrasing it. And of course, we were like, who cares? That was amazing.
We loved it.
We loved it. But like, it was just an acknowledgement that even like an established, very regularly touring, well-known name, still had diversity from set to set. So I'm not trying to say people just lock it in, but I recognize the usefulness. If you're playing in Cleveland and then you're playing in Boise and then you're playing in LA, none of those people have heard the same set, so it's not a big deal.
Right. No, it's a good point.
Probably very different crowds in those three places.
Yeah, but it's exhausting. I know how exhausting it is to come up with my sets,
right?
Because
it is.
I mean, it just is. I've just like pour all of my heart and soul into it. Again, sometimes at the sacrifice of producing what it needs. And so, to do that when you're like actively like flying, touring like several times a week, like, you don't even have the resources to get more complex than that.
Right. No, you bring up a great point. It really has to do with the ears in the room. Like, were they the same ears as last night? Then that changes the story. And
I often give advice to DJ friends or people that I mentor. When other people are stressing, I mean, when my friends or mentees are stressing about playing the same songs over and over, like, oh, last time I was in this city, I played these songs, and I guess I can't play them again. I actually encourage people to play them again, because if you have fans, it's possible that they're it's like hearing a band, like you want to hear the hits, and sometimes they like you. Or they want to hear something familiar from you. They want to hear the thing that went off last time.
Interesting.
So I don't balk at that. I mean, I want my sets to be fresh, but throwing a couple things in there or a few things in there that you did play last time, I don't think is bad. I don't think is by default bad.
And to turn that into playlists again, when I make playlists, every time, I know Serato saves your Serato history, but it saves, this is kind of interesting, it saves the Serato history to the laptop itself, not to the place where everything else is saved.
Yeah.
So I always take, after a gig, I say I have like, here's my warm up for Illgates set in the crates. And after I finish playing, I copy the history and put that as a crate. And I say,
oh, I do that too.
I say, this is what I played on this date. And
yeah,
then,
I do the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. We're all geniuses, I guess.
Well, I
That
think
way
it was just out of
you
concern. Yeah, it's just out of concern. Like, I don't want to like play the same exact set twice because
Yeah,
like,
but see,
Exactly.
for me, it's usually the opposite. It's if I feel stuck, I know what worked last time, and I'll dip
good
into
point.
that pool.
Good point. Good
Or
point.
you have options. It's
Yeah.
really just
Right.
having
Give you the
most
maximum,
options.
yeah, and the most flexibility and the most
And confidence.
options, but confidence. But like for me, that confidence comes from having those things at your fingertips.
Right.
It's not just like
Yeah.
it's somewhere, or I can
Yeah.
search for I can like scroll for the thing that I did last time or whatever. It's having
You don't have time.
it's
No, you don't
having
have time.
efficient options at
Right.
your fingertips at all
Right.
times. Like
Absolutely.
just like in a flash at all times.
Well said.
Yeah,
Definitely.
totally.
Well, switching over to music production, can you talk about the major challenges that you've overcome during your time with Producer Dojo as music producers, and how did you overcome those challenges?
That is a huge question, Sean.
I'll just sit back and let you.
Wait. Say that again.
So the major challenges that you've had
Major challenges.
as a music producer. So like what we've just discussed is playing live, and
Right.
you both have that locked down to a fine science, right? Switching over to
I'd
music.
like to think so.
Switching over to music production, I know, like, originally you were DJs first and then got into music production. So I'm just curious about the major challenges that you experienced during your music production journey, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Okay, well, she's got a nice long answer, I'm sure. So I'm
You just don't want to answer first.
No. I'm just going to give you my answer, and it's going to be short.
Great.
No, I've been a live electronic musician now for, oh my God, since 2005. And since 2005, I've been producing to perform as a live electronic musician. And when I say live electronic musician, that means that for me, what it means is I set up a scenario with computers and controllers and possibly collaborators who are live musicians and microphones and visuals people and everything like that. And we kind of do something semi-improvised on stage. And I've been doing that for years and years and years and years and years, and have created hours and hours of music that I performed at Bonnaroo, I've performed for whiskey companies, I performed for Red Bull, like all the stuff, but nothing was ever recorded.
Oh.
It was never recorded.
Oh no.
Well, that was just my shtick. Like my shtick was to create something with elements and manipulate the elements in real time. And
cool.
Frequently I would be working with live musicians. Like I used to work with a bass player, and I've worked with a percussionist, and I've worked with singers, and you name it. And we would combine all these elements, and it would be something you would hear live, and you'd never hear it the same way again. Then the next time I would play that set, it would sound totally different. Like we would go off into improvised realms, and then we'd come back and all of that stuff. And that was the end. That was the end product was the show.
Right.
It wasn't a recording. So for me, the big challenge was to make recordings, to record it. And then, because I think it's really exciting to improvise. I think it's really exciting to collaborate.
Me too.
Live.
Yeah.
I like the live element. I'm somebody who has been on stage many times. I was into theater and all my life and everything. So sitting at a mixing desk, taking elements and mixing them down and using production techniques to create a finished product, that was just not my nature. So making that transition from a person who does something on stage live to somebody who creates something and mixes it down for a final project, that was a big, huge leap for me, because it's a completely different headspace. It's completely different techniques. Everything, it couldn't be more different,
right?
So I've still got a long way to go. I'm getting there. Collaborating with Lexi makes my life much easier because she's a
Amazing.
fantastic engineer and producer.
Right.
And so this is why we work together. And
Yeah.
one of these days I'll have a solo release.
Yeah. So I'm
Not yet, though.
so just curious. I would imagine like a major part of the difference between your passion for improvisation and live performance and producing music in a vacuum, right? Like a studio all by yourself, is that you can't thrive on the crowd. Like you can't read the crowd, you can't thrive on the crowd's energy.
That's a huge part of it.
You're in a room all by yourself, and now you have to like create music. Does that play into it?
Yes, that is not in my nature to isolate myself and be by myself for many, many hours hunched over a laptop.
Right.
I'm a very active person. I like interacting with human beings. So yeah, that's not my nature, and I'm definitely adapting. I mean, if I had my way, I would probably always work with an engineer.
Right.
But that's not unheard of. It's only us weirdos in the like, self-generated rock star business that try and feel pressure to do it all ourselves, and financially are pressured to do it all ourselves. I mean, outside of our bubble, I mean, our very big and wonderful and vibrant bubble, what you're describing is more of the standard.
Yeah, I mean, when you have like an act like Devo or somebody, Devo doesn't produce Devo, somebody else produces Devo, somebody else produces the Cars. So, I mean, probably most famous people have different people doing the engineering and producing. Michael Jackson doesn't produce himself. Before I got into music production, I was involved in the film industry for a really long time. And in the film industry, you have a huge team that does stuff. The director is not the cinematographer.
Right.
The cinematography is a whole separate career that you spend time learning all the intricacies and get all the experience in cinematography so you can be the best cinematographer you can be. And being a director is a completely different thing too. It's a completely different skill set. And I kind of look at like engineering and sort of the producing part as being like being a cinematographer.
Right.
And I feel like being an artist is more like either being an actor or a director. And these people, I think you get the best product when you have these people who are like geniuses at their specific skills. But it's, again, this is just my headspace, and there's plenty of people who make their own productions from top to bottom, and God bless them. Right. But I kind of feel like to ask somebody to make up music that's maybe relevant and has a lot of influences, and you have to have a different life and a different focus than somebody who's like, well, let's make sure the vocal is up front and the drums are to the bottom. You know what I mean? It's just like, I feel like this is two different skill sets, and I'm going to do my best to achieve as much as I can myself, but I'm very comfortable with knowing what I can bring to the table based on what I've learned my entire life and all my musical influences and
the
doing
samples,
stage productions.
She's a wealth of like easy knowledge on like amazing samples.
Yeah, well, even if I know a sample and I don't want to use it because it's, as soon as you sample something, it's like opening a can of worms. But I could say, here's something that's a good sample. Let's make something that sounds like this sample.
Good reference
because you can be inspired by the texture of a sample or the feeling of a sample. And, I have a lot of that to bring to the table in addition to film production experience, editing experience. I do costuming, I can do stage moves and
Yeah, she's amazing at coming up with
so much.
with things that, I mean, I'm sorry to admit that I don't think well, I don't want to say I'm bad at, but I don't focus on it. It doesn't come to me very easily. She's amazing at the decoration, you know, the perform, like the setting the stage and the performance aspects and the bits and the
Just a show.
and the merch and the thing. Like, she's just totally incredible and enthusiastic about that stuff. And I don't have that skill set, and it's a necessary skill set, you know.
That's
shtick.
great. Like the ultimate
Yeah,
I mean,
the
it's
ultimate
more to it.
collaboration is when like you leverage the
Yeah.
strengths of each party.
Well, you think about, what if David Bowie never dressed up, or if David
Right.
Bowie never looked androgynous, or never, you know, what if there was no spiders from Mars? What if David Bowie just went on stage in jeans and a t-shirt? Like,
Right.
But it leaves, all of this leaves Shakey feeling, I don't know, I don't want to like put an adjective in your mouth, but perhaps insecure about owning the production side. But she's just got such great musical ideas. Like, it's not even about that.
And I feel like working with the dojo and also with Seth Drake, my ear is getting much better. Like, you know, now I can hear distortion. Now I
Right.
can hear when there's too much reverb or not enough reverb.
Yeah,
Now I can
I can
identify, you know, troubleshoot things where I'm like, this doesn't feel immersive. Why doesn't
Right.
it feel immersive? I'm starting to be able to identify those types of things.
Yeah.
And then I ask Lexi, what VST should we use to fix this?
Yeah, that's the important part. That's the core part, is hearing and identifying. And honestly, you were doing that before too. You just didn't have the language for it and the ear training for it. You know, you knew if something felt wrong or right to you. You knew that very, very well from the beginning. It's just, but then, like, if I may say, I'm proud of you, you absolutely went from feeling those feelings and feeling frustrated about it to like very clearly having a path forward.
You know, the language, every time I hear Dylan speak on the weekly download, I absorb the language that he uses. And even if I never engineer a thing in my life, even if I always work with an engineer and always work with a producer, if I never touch a board ever, the fact that I can articulate the feelings that I have in the language that the engineer, the producer has, that's huge. Because if you're speaking two different languages, or if the technical people have to try to read your mind, it's really difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah,
people will get frustrated.
Yeah, and the end product is going to be subpar. Like, it won't be aligned with your vision.
Yeah, or just you just won't be able to communicate what you want, and then you might run out of time because sessions are of finite length. You know, you only have a budget to have so much time, and if you don't nail it, you didn't nail it. You know, and the language is really important. It's really
definitely. So Lexi, what hearing what Shakey was saying was her major challenges. What do you think your major challenge that you've overcome since your time at the dojo?
Well, let's see. I mean, again, DJ First, along with the DJ First thing, Shakey, said, but she was producing since the beginning. And it's the same with me too. I mean, pretty much as soon as I started collecting records, I started messing with things. I just didn't think of myself. I wasn't conceiving myself as like a producer artist. I was making mashups and DJ edits and things like that. And then into funky breaks, which, is a thing that people market themselves for. But I was just making cool stuff. I wasn't really like thinking about that. And then I was one of the early producers in the Moombahton scene. So, I was producing Moombahton and global music from really early on, and and I don't know, I'm not trying to like establish cred or anything. It's just like I was producing all along the way. I mean, the dojo, I mean, certainly there's a wealth of technical knowledge, and then that's a primary feature and a primary, you know, draw. I'm coming around to a point. I'm just trying to find the words. I am a teacher at the dojo, as of course you both know, and so certainly that is not just getting this out of the way as one of the things, but certainly that I taught even, you know, even that I was teaching private students before the dojo, but I really kicked it up when I started teaching for the dojo. And as I think most people who've taught anything know, you know, you learn so much about your art and develop so much simply through teaching. So that has been quite significant, you know, making my own processes more efficient and more, and like the things that I was doing for myself, I have now articulated and refined for other people. So therefore they're more efficient and more potent for my own use as well. So that's pretty major. And that covers more than I could even talk about in this band. I mean, it covers so many topics and so many technical and psychological things. And although I think it did codify into, you know, a set of, you know, aphorisms and phrases that pack a lot of punch, you know. So the gelling is something that very much happened for me through the dojo. And then also the social aspect has been major. I'm not trying to dodge the technical side. It's very, very important. And like, there's so much good information, and all these other things are very important to me. The social side of it, you know, respecting myself as a bass scene person, respecting myself as I'm putting forth a name. I'm putting forth my name into the world as, hey, pay attention. I have something to say. You know, that is, in some ways, being a DJ is the opposite psychology. I mean, not for some people. A lot of people are in it. A lot of people are in it for the fame or whatever. But like for like a jock, like for like a DJ's DJ, you know, historically and originally, I don't know, I guess I can't really, those are generalizations too, but there is a segment of being a DJ's DJ where it's the opposite impulse. You are receding. I mean, like early clubs, you didn't see the DJ, they were hidden away somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, so my psychology for a long time was trained in the opposite way. It's let me serve the music.
Right.
Not how can the music serve me? Like how can I get out of the way of the music, and how can I make this experience as immersive and transparent as possible, which is not better or worse than this other psychology that I have gotten more comfortable with through the dojo for various reasons, and also just because, you know, I'm trying to step into you know, myself, where you know, you are asserting yourself with the DJ set. You are making an artistic statement that people can take or leave. You know, it's very vulnerable, and it's very daunting. And you know, the social structure of the dojo helps me embrace that. And you know, the actual instruction from various sources, including Dylan and Weekly Download and so forth, on the non-technical aspects of walking this path, you know, it's very, very valuable.
Yeah, his philosophy is all the things he says about his experiences and his philosophy it's so helpful, you know, because there's tech, and then there's everything else. Then there's life. There's the producer life when collaborating with other people, the human element, and he's just done everything and he just knows about everything. So it's just it's like an endless well of information that's really, really helpful.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, the thing that resonated with me is like, you know, when he talks about music, it's so multidimensional. It's the philosophy, it's about psychology, it's about social context, it's about he goes so deep with it. And I remember, like, you know, hearing him, you know, talk about you know, the psychology of sound, and that like won me over. I'm like, oh my God, like I never thought of it that way. You're that's amazing. He just thinks very deeply about music on so many different levels. It's not just binary, it's not just like technical or you know, it's deeper than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit, just moving on to the actual production of the Bass Arithmetic EP. Tell us about the making of it. Like, how long did you focus on it, and what were the major things that you learned while collaborating on this EP together?
Yeah, well, like we said before, we took a few minutes to like think about each track and what was sort of the primary elements to each track, and we can kind of go through those with you if you would like. What do you think?
Well, we're gonna do a track walkthrough sometime, right?
Right.
Isn't that, yeah?
Right.
So we can do like the Cliff Notes version. The overview in terms of like how long it took and how it came together. So first few months of the pandemic, I was very productive. I carried on from before, because I was most of the, you know, up until the last little patch of the pandemic, I've been generally as productive with music as I always have been, and I've needed a little space for various you know, reasons lately, but so the first few months of the pandemic, I was still cranking as hard as possible, and I was like, I'm just gonna use the, you know, as many of us thought, like, I'm just gonna use this time to the max, and I'm gonna cut when it's over. I'm gonna come out, you know, just like full of tracks and ready to go. And I was doing that, you know, I was still very inspired and full of musical ideas, and made a whole bunch of sketches I still, you know, look forward to finishing. And then, like, you know, we all have our own journeys, but I think a lot of them are, you know, there's some parallels. And then, so a few months in, I kind of hit a wall and started to go a little stir crazy. And Shakey and I, being best friends, like, we normally see each other a lot. Shortly before, I mean, like right before lockdown happened, she had gone up to, she, you know, Shakey has an apartment in Brooklyn and has a house a little bit outside of the city. And she had gone up there to work on her house and then just stayed there for months because nobody knew what was going on, and we were all supposed
I didn't want to die.
Nobody wants to die.
Right.
So, you know, we hadn't seen each other on top of all that. So I was, you know, starting to, the reality of what we were dealing with was starting to set in. And I hadn't had my support system for so long. So, you know, a few months in, like 4 months into the pandemic, I went up to her house, and we, you know, I had a, you know, what, a week, 10 days.
Well, she was getting a little stir crazy at her place.
Right.
And I was like, just come up to my place and just stay for, I think you stayed for 10 days
or something.
10 days.
And like,
something.
you know, New York, any city, but especially New York, you know, it's like extra isolating because there's no, you know, private outdoor space and yada yada. So
I had an ice cream machine.
Ice cream machine, a big yard where animals come and walk.
Yeah, I have a whole family of deer that
we saw a bear. We saw a bear that
week. We saw a bear.
Nice.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was a thing.
Yeah.
So you know, that time was really important for me for decompressing and kind of like getting my head together. And it was an incubator for us. I mean, we had been making music, we had been making some cool stuff, and like, you know, one of the things before the pandemic, shortly before the pandemic, was, as you know, we opened for Illgates in Philadelphia, and we had, you know,
Such a good show. That was,
it was
I
a good
think,
show, right?
I
It was a good show.
I'm
Actually,
trying to remember. I think that might have been the last show I saw before the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty soon before everything went down.
Right.
Shortly after that, I went to Panama. If anyone remembers, there was like this festival where people got stuck there during the pandemic.
Yes.
I was
That was
at
that
I was at
festival.
that festival.
Oh, geez.
Tribal gathering in Panama, and my normal itinerary had me leaving before the final couple days, and those were the days where, surprise, everybody got stuck.
She
So
was
I
just got out.
naturally
Oh,
got out.
lucky.
I didn't get stuck, but I knew all the people who were stuck, and so that was it. Philadelphia, and then I was basically like that, and then Panama, and then we're done. And where was I in the story? So we had come off of
She had come up to my house.
no, I got the narrative.
Go
So
ahead.
we had been making tunes, and we had just, you know, finished a couple things for that show, but we were like, no, we really got to get down to business. And then the pandemic happened. So that trip was a good combo of a lot of things for us and me. Plus we got to like do this like sabbatical incubator where
Nice.
we started 3 of the EP songs and a couple other songs.
Yeah,
I
it
think
flowed pretty
It
quick.
flowed really well. I think we started 5 songs, 2 of which we're sitting on and 3 of which are on the EP. And then,
Yeah.
right, we didn't do Mushrooms then, right?
That's the name of a song.
We didn't come up with our song called Mushrooms on Parade at that time,
Mushrooms
right?
on Praise, the name of a song. We were not doing mushrooms at that time.
Right.
Not at that time.
Mushrooms was not in progress at that time.
No.
I don't think. I think that came a little later.
That was at your place. We came up with that.
We did Mushrooms at my house. Yeah, I mean, we were just goofing off like we always do. I mean, not in a dismissive way towards the songs at all. We were goofing off, therefore we came up with awesome stuff.
Right.
We were riffing, we were flowing. You know?
Carefree.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little keyboard there, just poking out keyboard lines, and she was making weird sounds.
And we were listening
patches
to her extensive record collection for inspiration.
Nice.
and that too. Yeah, and then that 10 days, I guess that was the jump start, and then we sort of continued working at her studio because she's got
So this
much
is last
more
summer. The
set up
timeline is we started
studio
last
than me.
summer, and we didn't even work all those days. We only worked like 4 or 5 of those days, I think. And then we weren't together again. You know, it was still intermittent. It was still the pandemic, and so even though we started the songs maybe, you know, roughly a year before wrapping them up with the dojo, you know, it wasn't like continuous work. There was another, you know, big break or two.
Yeah, I mean, we work very well. Like, we get stuff done.
When we
I
work
mean,
together,
just put
yeah.
it
And we
like
have
that.
fun. We have
And
fun.
we have fun.
Right.
And we learn
drink-
something too.
And we drink whiskey.
And we drink whiskey. We don't do mushrooms, but we drink whiskey.
And we take naps.
Perfect.
Like, sometimes we're going and we're going and we're going, and we're just like, ugh, I can't think of anything.
No, but
Me-
it's not
me
even
neither.
that. It's been going so well that our brains are so squeezed that we
Yeah,
just
it's like
take
a
a nap.
dry sponge. We're just squeezing, and then we're just like, let's just lie down for a half an hour, and we'll just go.
Yeah.
We'll just take.
Yeah, music production was like the best pursuit during the pandemic, because like you could just get
I mean,
lost in the music, you know?
for sure, different people have different stories about that though. Like, I know people, like, including like bigger name people than us, than any of us, you know,
Right.
I didn't- you, but then many, you know, like higher tier people, you know, that's like like the more, I mean, I think there are different threads to this, but like the more one's social reputation and income rely on
Right.
producing, I mean, I think there's more potential for it to kind of screw with your head. And
Right.
so like I knew a few people who were really like I mean, we were all suffering in different ways, but a few different people who were like suffering pretty, like mentally pretty hard from having that all so abruptly messed with. Like, I continued to find, I mean, I'm a full-time DJ and I make my money producing and DJing. Still, like, I still was like finding inspiration and drawing from a well of inspiration pretty reliably for some time after that. But a lot of people hit a wall, so it wasn't a refuge for everyone. On some people, it was like scary, you know, the thought of continuing to make music in those circumstances.
No, good point. Yeah, you know, having listened to the, you know, like every single Mr. Bill podcast that's ever been, you know, he had people on there, and some people thrived during the pandemic, and just, and then other people, like, they just couldn't get into it because I think they were so used to thriving off the crowd that, like, now they were forced to, like, you know, be alone, and like they weren't feeling it.
Sure. And you know, you refine songs that way, and you find inspiration for songs from going out, and you find inspiration for songs from your own sets and from the people who play before and after you. So, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting because we never were able to really test drive the songs on this EP with any
big sound systems
or anything. We kind of
that was a challenge,
had to rely on metering.
Right.
Like maybe a few instances.
Bass boss.
That is true. We
I mean, this is as you know, fast forward. We won't skip over everything. We'll go back, but fast forward to this summer, we were at DJ Expo in
DJ Times,
the DJ Times DJ X
DJ Expo,
and in Atlantic City, and you know, there's various tech demos there, and there was this speaker company called Bass Boss, and we played not the final masters, but on the way to the final masters on their system, and like shook the hell out of the place, and it was awesome.
Yeah, we broke the ceiling.
We have photos of the like molding coming off of the ceiling.
Yeah, there was plaster on the ground. And this what was the hotel again?
Hard Rock.
It was the Hard Rock Cafe. Well, the Hard Rock Casino.
Hotel and casino.
Huge, enormous place.
In Atlantic City.
And this was in one of the convention rooms. And we literally tore the ceiling off.
So towards the end, we got a little bit of sugar, you know, working on the
and so we were like, okay, that is good.
Yeah. And there were names in that room who liked it. So
sweet.
By the way, the Bass Boss people contacted us after that, and they want us to make music,
demo music,
music for their promos.
Awesome.
Yeah, because that's it. So it, you know, we were happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
We were very happy with that. Which, by the way, we have to get on that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably going to be one of the next things we do when we get our butts back in the chairs in front of the computer.
And I do want to say one thing: the struggle that we're talking about, that I was framing as like, you know, people of more notoriety. I mean, of course, everyone struggles with those things, but this is actually my point, is that you know, I think what I was describing is also a common struggle of up and coming producers in general, pandemic or not, where, you know, it's sometimes it's hard to keep your morale up or keep your craft up when you're putting so much work into it and not reaping the rewards of that because you're still on the way, you know, where you're not getting the crowd reaction in equal measure, in sufficient measure to the effort you're putting in, where you're not getting cash in sufficient measure to the energy you're putting in, and where you're not getting the excitement of testing your music in the same measure to the energy you're putting in. You know, that can be really crushing. And I don't know, keep the faith, everybody. But, you know, I recognize that that's a difficult struggle, you know, that it's not evenly distributed. I don't know why I use that phrase, but I mean, like, you know, it's easier to carry on when you're getting the rewards for the effort you're putting in. I mean, even if that doesn't mean getting famous or getting rich or whatever, but like even just modest rewards, like try to put yourselves in dear audience, try to put yourselves in positions where you're getting that in some way more often. If that means Twitch, if that means, I don't even know what, come up with it, but you know, try to enjoy the fruits of your labors as much as possible, because it'll help you carry on. It'll help you, you know, maintain energy and optimism and enthusiasm and all that.
Right. Yeah. The reward for me was the feeling of flow, like just being in flow. That was the reward. Right. You know, whether or not it turned out to be a good song or a bad song. Like if I was in flow, that was the reward. You know. Because you're not stressing about the future or the past, or like you're just locked into the moment and stuff like
that's wise. That's wise.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Should we talk about some of the tracks?
Well, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite, or is that a hard
favorite?
question?
All our favorite.
What are you talking about?
We love all our children equally.
I know it's a hard question.
Well, I mean, we just have.
Well, let's all right. So like, say you have this high profile gig and it's like, you get up on stage and they say like, you can play one song from your EP. What do you do?
Well, the one that seems to be the one that people respond to the most is Nutty Queen.
Oh yeah. You think
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Bubble Wrap. That's why.
I think.
Oh my God! For me, it's bass arithmetic. That blows me away. It knocks my socks off.
This is the thing.
Yeah, we like them all.
I love them all. I love them all.
Well, I was gonna say, I thought she was gonna say Bubble Wrap because it's the kitsch. It's the kitschiest. You know, it's got the most. To me, it's got the most like hook.
It's the funnest.
I don't know about that. No? I think they're all really fun, but I
think
it's fun. The most like repeatable hook. It's just like Bubble Wrap, and there's like bubble pops. Like to me, that's like such a hook. But no, I love.
Well, the Nutty Queen is a headbanger. That's like for the people on the rail. Every time we play that, everybody bangs their head, and they really like that.
That's awesome.
And we spent so much time on that gnarly bass synth.
Yeah.
I can't even. It was like we were there on the nail file, going a little to the left, a little to the right.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, I mean, not so much on the note, you know, like melody pattern, but on like the getting the you know,
texture.
It's very aggressive. I mean, it's not like a you know, screechy, you know, Skrillexy kind of thing, but it's very distorted. And so we spent a whole lot of time deciding on what was the appropriate amount of distortion, like not.
And all kinds. We tried different types of distortion, and we rejected
so many versions
of that bass. You can't even imagine to have like the perfect.
I mean,
because sometimes you're like, it sounds like some rock guitar now.
Yeah.
And then we were like, now it sounds like. So it just would be.
Yeah, we didn't want it too buzzy, but we didn't want it too hollow and subby. So, you know.
And we wanted it to sound big, but not annoying.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that was the thing that we worked a lot on that. But there's a lot of other parts of that the beat is very sort of, I call it asymmetrical. It's not really, it's just, it swings a lot. Like when we make beats, we really want to make them swing, to have a lot, I mean,
not necessarily like swing in the sense of like, you know, the swing of the note, but we wanted to have a bounce to it, you know.
Right. Yeah, bounce to it, a feeling of tension, a funkiness. Like it's a fairly simple beat. It's boom, ba-chomp, boom, boom, ba-chomp, but man, you can really make that not sound good, or you can make it sound really good by just nudging.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's like getting the right offsets in there.
Yeah.
Like the perfect offsets.
It really makes a huge difference.
And actually, I mean, I if I recall correctly, the beat on that is fairly on the grid. It's just sexy, you know. It's just like it's the right oomph at the right time, and the right articulation, and the right, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's and like with the upper percussion on it, you know, it's less, you know, on the grid feeling. But it's I mean, I'm very, very, very proud. We're very proud of this EP, and I'm very proud of a lot of things they can go into, but the beats on all of them, I'm really proud of how not robotic the beats are,
Right.
how vibrant and I don't even know if I would say loose. I mean, they're kind of loose, but like how
It's
energetic.
just got like a very strong groove. So like a
Yeah,
very strong
very.
groove.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we're both huge fans of funk.
Right.
So if it doesn't feel like,
Right.
you know, if it doesn't feel organic, if it doesn't feel sexy, and
There's no
then
point.
we can't really get with it.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right.
that was a big goal and experiment really for us. With, I mean, like, to me, the to me, the story of this EP, I mean, there's a lot to say, obviously, but to me, the story of this EP is making aggressive bass music groovy, you know, and because you have like trappy and dubsteppy side of things, which I love and play all the time, and yet it's this very like, I mean, those are two different things too, obviously, and they both incorporate, you know, are an umbrella of a lot of different things, but you know, it's not I don't want to like pigeonhole that or our stuff, but it's not groovy in the same way. And then if you go too far the other direction, I mean, I don't think of this as necessarily a cousin to funky breaks or anything, but like if you go in that direction, or say like electro swing, you know, it's sort of like, which we both of which we love and spend a lot of time on. Those things are sort of like groovy for the sake of being cutesy, I guess, in sort of a way. I don't even want to make it sound like I'm talking down about that. It's just its own vibe, and so we didn't want those things to cancel each other out. We didn't want the like bass, the bass, you know, we wanted songs that had bass face and groove.
Right.
I don't think there's like a whole lot out there that really hits that intersection like right on the target.
Right. Agreed.
There's some UK producers, you know, I mean, we're fans of Sam Binga and we're fans of Swindle. They both definitely have that funkiness.
But not in this style though, you know. I mean,
not
yeah.
in this particular song style. Which is
but I
kind
do
of
agree they hit those intersections in a different manner very, very well.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing, what was that? Who was? I'm. This is Julie all over. Who was that dubstep producer we saw at Webster Hall? That was like super duper packed, and this was years ago.
You mean Rusko?
Rusko, thank you.
Oh yeah, Rusko's awesome.
Yeah, but we saw Rusko. We have video of this. We saw Rusko like prime original, like, you know, years.
The reason I'm bringing this up is because at that show, Rusko played that song Jehovah that he plays, or Jehovah, however you pronounce it.
Right.
And that song has a melodic line. It's an instrumental. It doesn't have any lyrics or anything, but it's got a melodic line. And they go, which I'm sure he didn't make that up. He probably took that from another track. But then the bass part come on and it's dun, 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 dun. Anyway, well, everybody, every single person in Webster Hall sang along with that track.
Awesome.
Webster Hall was packed to the gills.
And like, there's no words. There's no words. You know, they're just like da da da.
They were like dun 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 dun. We have the video. You can see
that's
it.
Awesome.
If you look up Rusko at Webster Hall.
Oh, we even put it up?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And everybody's singing along with that. And that's the first time I ever heard a huge group of like club goers sing to an instrumental. And that really registered with me. That like burned neural pathways.
She's still talking about it.
No, I mean, my mind was completely blown. I'm like, since when do people sing along with the instrumental?
Right.
So when we were making this EP, I was like, when I was making up melodic lines, like a bass line, or there's some things that sound like guitars, or even the bubbles in bubble wrap, I was like, I want to make this so people could sing along with it, even though it's an instrumental line.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it goes along, very well hand in hand with plenty of stuff that Dylan says. I mean, you could just throw out any random Dylan term, a face or a spark or anything. I mean, having something that's a hook.
It's a hook.
It's a hook, and that, I mean, that I value music that gets pretty abstract and rhythmically or musically or whatever, and still most of the time, there's some sort of thing. It's similar to the Timbaland masterclass, where one of the well-known things that people have extrapolated from that was singing into your voice recorder, and like those things are, we have to come up with a new term in 2021, but those things are viral. Those things are catchy and mimetic and repeatable. And similarly, I tell my student, one of the things I'm like most commonly tell my students is like, you have to be able to sing this back to yourself. Whatever you come up, whatever crazy bass, squelchy synth line checkerboarding that you do, it doesn't, like, you don't have to be perform it on stage, but if you can't sing it back to yourself, if it's not repeatable enough for you, or like and repeatable and intelligible enough for you to sing it to someone, like it doesn't even have to go so far as like when Dylan says like that people want to, like, you want people to leave the club like singing that song to each other,
right?
I mean, I think that's important too, but if you can't even get to the basic step before that of singable,
right,
if you can't sing this back to yourself or to your friend, or if they can't listen to it and sing it to you, even if it doesn't resemble the synth patches, I mean, I'm not even talking about that. If the core idea is not repeatable, then it's hard, therefore it is hard to digest. It's hard for your brain to digest. It's hard for your body to digest, and so like, I always think of all those things together, this moment with Rusko and things that Dylan says, and this thing that I tell my students all the time. And that's very much something we are going for. And actually, the EP, I think, even proves my point that it doesn't have to be plain or conventional to be repeatable, because I think we do some pretty weird stuff in there.
Oh, and there's layers and layers of oddball sounds and all kinds of crispy, you name it. I mean, there's many layers, but you could, I don't know, I feel like, even in drum and bass, the iconic songs of the 90s, even in drum and bass, are ones where I could sing the line to you, or I could sing a line to you, dun 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 dun, 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 or like, you know what I mean,
or certain well-known vocals or something, of course,
no, every one of these songs on this EP, you could go into a record store,
that's the other version of this story. Can you sing it back to the record store guy
and say, hey,
that's
do you have
awesome.
that song that goes, dun 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 dun,
right,
dun 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 dun, oh yeah, dun, dun, like that's Nutty Queen. Bass arithmetic, you could sing bass arithmetic, you can sing bubble rock, dun 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 dun,
even though it's like a super weird sound. And like, fundamentally, I think the original bubbles in bubble wrap, I don't recall, I think we didn't have them mapped in a sampler. I think it was like maybe we did. I vaguely recall it being like not a one-to-one on the keyboard. It was like playing a series of samples that we arranged into that melody. If I recall, maybe we didn't.
Well, that melody I played on the keyboard.
Right,
dun,
but
dun, 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 like
but was that?
I don't know what we did with it after that.
Yeah,
probably you put it into an arpeggiator or something.
Oh yeah, well, for the B section we put it into our arpeggiator. But like my point was, however we came up with it, it's not remotely like a song, a sound or a melody you would like normally sing along with, and yet it's digestible in that way.
Now, Mushrooms on Parade, which is sort of the oddball track, because it's it's not really bass music at all. It's
Well,
like,
I think of it as
well,
bass music. It's very subby.
it's not traditional.
It's not traditional.
Not
It's very
traditional. Not
traditional.
Right.
But the inspiration track from that was
Well, there was two different things basically.
yeah, yes, there was two different inspirations for that, but it very first started out because
I was playing this.
we wanted to throw in an oddball track.
Well, yeah, and actually that was partly inspired by Dylan, by Il Gates, who encouraged us. We presented a different song as the fourth song, and we love it. I mean, it's
gonna
come out because it's
the other.
And actually, when we play it, it kills. So
it crushes.
We're not even worried about that.
Right.
You've heard it. We played it.
Oh
at
yeah,
the Knitting Factory.
you liked it. Dylan encouraged us to submit something more off the beaten path, and I think that's I think it's strong advice, and I think that y'all have suggested that to several other people, I'm sure. So we took up that challenge and came up with something more. I don't even want to say unconventional, because all these are unconventional in their own way, but something that we took even more risks with, because we had
Like a
other
curveball.
songs anchoring the release. So yeah, continue.
Well, it started because she played. We were going to do something that was maybe sort of down tempo, or not even down tempo, because all of this is down tempo, but maybe something.
Not really.
Well, it's like 80.
I mean, it's a low, but
beats
that's not
per
what
minute.
down tempo.
You get what I'm saying. It was
I know
like
what you're saying. The EPM wise, but not vibe wise, not
a
vibe.
chill
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
A chill thing. So she pulled up some really eclectic track that was on a Luke Vibert compilation, which,
Yeah, it's
by
like
the way,
a-
we love Luke
We
Vibert.
love Luke Vibert.
And it was
But it was on like a switched on Bach kind of vibe. This whole EP was like Mogish, weird compositions,
Sweet.
and I was using it for a VR
Can I
project.
tell 'em?
I gotta like lead.
Oh,
I gotta
okay.
set it up. You didn't need to skip in
Okay.
I was using it for a VR project. See, you didn't know I was gonna say
I didn't
that.
know.
You're learning.
So I was using it for a VR project about a world where you basically fly through the sky, and I was thinking of things that would be fun for that. And anyway, I had already established that it was already the soundtrack of this world I had made, and so we were flipping through ideas, and I played this for her. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like kind of a jazzy, spaced out, wandering Moog piece.
Mm-hmm. And actually, our song didn't turn out like it at all, really, but it was a good start.
Well, this is the way we always start off. We start off with like, hey, let's do a thing with a Moog,
Right.
or let's do a thing that's, I don't know. It's got I like this duck sound. It's, and then it always ends up someplace completely different. But so when I sat down at the keyboard and I tried to make a melody that you can never guess where the melody was going. So it was kind of like it was wandering, like you just really didn't know like where the melody was going. So I would think of a note that would be where the note would feel like it should go, and then I wouldn't play that note. I'd play the note next to it.
Oh, nice.
Or, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was almost playing. It's kind of like that Bugs Bunny episode where they had the keyboard and the bomb is under one of the keys.
Yeah.
You ever see that? And it goes dun 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 dun. And like they don't hit the key with the bomb, and then a coyote comes over and goes, play the note. It's that kind of mindset where it's like, the thing that's supposed to happen just kind of never happens. And
so subverting expectations.
Yeah.
But
the part that she wrote for that ended up really just being the intro, and it inspired the rest of the track.
Well, this was a weird track because we didn't know where it was going, and we kept adding things to it, and then we're like, I still don't know where it's going. You know what I mean? It was kind of like walking through a room with the lights out. We're
and it sat for a while, and also it's in a major key, and I had a lot of insecurity about that and about trying to write something for a bass EP or anything in general that was dance music in a major key. I was like really freaked out by the idea. And I thought this is just something that's hard for a lot of producers and definitely for me, is standing by my ideas. Like, it doesn't have to represent my entire career. It can just be some cool thing I worked on. And it does standing up for just being creative, at times is hard for a lot of people, including me. So it was really daunting, and I resisted working on it in certain ways, because I couldn't really see the vision.
We didn't have a vision.
I
mean, it was a foggy vision.
But that's something, and this is also why we work well together. Shakey is very okay with walking forward without a blueprint in front of us. I have a really hard time with that. Like, usually when I get a seed idea for a song, I can see generally, I mean, even if it doesn't end up that way, I can be like, oh, I can see this being a finished song. This is how it might go.
Right.
And we never had that with this. And so she kind of had to hold my hand, because she's really good at that. And I find that very scary.
I just was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And so we would work on it some, then we're like, we end up on a dead end. And we're like, all right, well, let's work on something else for a while. And we would just keep coming back to it and saying, oh, okay, it's cute. Let's put a glockenspiel. Glockenspiels are cute. So ding, 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 put a glockenspiel. And then somehow we got
the fat beat.
I don't even know at what point we started thinking this would be a good soundtrack for the Disney Light Parade.
Yeah.
Do you know the Disney Light Parade?
Electric Light Parade.
Light Parade.
I don't think you even really knew about. I mean, years previous to this, I don't think Shakey even really knew about it. I think I had to introduce you to it. Yeah. And so I was like showing her the videos of the Electric Light Parade years ago. And so I think in the process of this, we were like, oh, because that was the same, like Switched on Bach, kind of like same era.
Yeah.
And we were like,
so we're all Moog.
And then this ties in actually with the rest of the EP. We have a technique, which you all should adopt, of playing our work in progress on top of festival or concert footage of another DJ. Like, if we're like, oh, we want to make a song like this, or we would play a song in this setting, or we aspire to play a song on this stage, we'll pull up after we get down the road, we get a YouTube video and mute it and play our song under it. And if it feels like it's vibing at question mark, or it feels like it's vibing at Okeechobee or something, we're like, okay, we're on the right path.
Yeah.
Cool.
Change
more
focus or whatever.
Or just go a different direction.
It's similar to using reference tracks in the project. It's just like for different psychology.
That's really cool. That's
reference
really
life.
cool.
A reference performance situation.
And so with this one, we did that, except instead of a famous DJ on a festival stage, we just used the video of the Disney Electric Light Parade.
Yeah, we would play the Light Parade and be like,
and it matched up.
What do we need
matched
to
up?
hear? What do we need to hear? And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it really works to me. I stand by.
I gotta try that. I gotta try.
It really works. Yeah. But then at some point, Lexi just
put a fat beat on it.
Put a fat beat on it, and we're like, it's done. And it wasn't.
Good choice.
It wasn't done because we. How did we even think to do a vocal? We wanted to do a vocal.
Yeah.
Like, we thought it would be. In the Disney Light Parade, there are mushrooms.
Nice.
In the Disney Light Parade, because there's electric mushrooms and they kind of spin around and stuff. And
sweet.
And how did we even? Well, mushrooms.
Right.
So we're like, let's just. This is trippy. Let's sing about mushrooms. Or something.
I think Shakey said, I think this is how it went. I think she was like, let's just see if a vocal would work, because we had been like, we'd put vocals. I mean, we have our own vocals on all of these songs or some of the songs. Bass Arithmetic we have our own vocals on. Bubble Wrap, we have our own vocals on.
Nutty Queen, we don't. I don't think we have. Oh, well, the breaths.
Oh, yeah. So there's some sort of vocalizing on it. all right, well, maybe that one has vocals, other additional vocals. So she was like, we've been having fun messing around with vocals. Let's just see if we come up with something. And we didn't even come up with anything. We were just being silly. We were just improvising and just like, just joking around.
Yeah, basically.
And came up with what we can. I mean, we didn't even like practice. Basically, we just used first takes and outtakes for that whole thing.
I mean, that's pretty much, we don't even really do takes too much.
Depends on the song.
I mean, we'll say, okay, well, with Bass Arithmetic, we went over the words a few times because we're like,
yeah, we
wanted it to swing a little bit, like Bass Arithmetic kind of has like a swing to it.
Yeah, I mean,
we had other things that we were going to say that didn't swing.
Well, like we had to like come up with the words. Bass Arithmetic has, to our ears, I mean, we intended it to have sort of like a go-go, undertone. It has like a
DC go-go. That's
go-go
like that
beat.
underground sort of soul funk style.
Okay.
From Washington,
that
DC.
we're fans of. It's like a really small scene, like only people in DC do it. I don't think I've ever heard of another artist outside of Washington DC doing DC go-go.
Interesting.
I mean, pretty much. And we, I mean, they tour from DC, but yeah.
They do.
And we had talked in the past about making a DC go-go bass track, and this didn't exactly realize that vision, but we incorporated that concept. And so to us, it has a go-go, like it references a go-go swing, if it's not exactly a go-go swing. And Bass Arithmetic, like that was very intentionally put together with like that kind of, the cadence of those words had that kind of swing to us. And so that's how that came together.
Yeah, we said a whole bunch of things that didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, we were sitting there going like,
oh yeah,
low frequency, fun stuff.
we probably have a bunch of outtakes.
Yeah, there was a lot of misfires, yeah, until we got that. And then there was frequency formula. I mean, because we were part of the inspiration of that vocal was from that, I don't know if you know Kraftwerk Music Nonstop. There's sort of a low where they go music nonstop, and it's like sort of a growly low end robotic voice. So we're kind of that feel, and because Kraftwerk is very mathy,
yeah,
and the music nonstop video is like computer graphics, like going like this,
like Max Headroom kind of stuff.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, it's
certainly precedes that, but yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
totally.
in that direction.
It's like really early computer graphics, like that. That was like a really forward-thinking video at that time in terms of computer graphics, but everything was like planar, so it was like very cubey and so we thought, because we're talking about, we were thinking so much about frequency formulas and Bass Arithmetic that we're like, let's just sing about it. And yeah, I mean,
did perfectly.
We're talking about mushrooms on Parade.
Yeah.
Basically, well, we have a mic right there.
So we were just,
and when we think of like, all right, let's get on the mic, we just turn the mic around.
No, usually she's like, let's get on the mic. And I'm like, oh, but then I gotta like set it up. Like I gotta like, to press record and make the channel do the thing.
Yeah, she complains about it. Then she gets on the mic and does a perfect vocal in one take. And I'm like, see, that wasn't so hard, was it? And then we just put the vocal on and it sounds great.
Yeah.
But she's an incredible vocalist. She's like, we made this song that was a Christmas song, like sort of a Christmas remix.
Oh yeah, years ago.
This is the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. We were doing this thing, and we have all these like Christmas sound effects, like jingle bells and stuff, and we needed Santa Claus. We needed Santa Claus to go ho ho ho, right? And she goes, I got this. So she gets on the mic.
Because Shakey was like, let's find a sample of like Santa Claus. Like, let's just get someone saying ho, ho, ho. And I was like, no.
She gets on the mic and she does the most perfect Santa Claus I've ever seen,
ever
heard.
Awesome.
I could not stop laughing. I know, can you do it?
No.
Oh, do it. Do Santa Claus.
Hell no, hell
She's
no.
not gonna do it. Well, it's on this track that we have her doing it. And every time I hear the track, I hear that, oh, and I just die laughing because it's amazing. It sounds just like Santa. So
But it's even
I
it's
don't know.
even
She's
better
come up with this-
it's even better because it's your own vocals. It's not a sampler or something like
Yeah,
that.
no, definitely, of course.
Well, this for Mushrooms on Parade, I don't know. She just riffed and she said, I'm a fun guy, baby papa mushroom.
Oh yeah, I did not even. I mean, I am not predisposed to embrace improvisation. Like I'll usually definitely think of something first. But with that, she was like, let's just talk about mushrooms, and because it's mushrooms,
Dancing mushrooms.
dancing
desert
mushrooms. And so I just off a dome.
Well, there was, I think I contributed the pop silly pop silly.
Yeah. We recorded that next separate.
Silly is like PSILLY.
Oh, nice.
Theoretically, but so I was like, do pop silly pop silly, and then she goes, pop silly. We were losing it. It was so funny. I thought I was gonna die. So we did that vocal, but then I thought, I don't know, people had such a good response to that song. I was like, maybe we should do an instrumental version in case it gets licensed, because I could really see it being for
Cinematic,
some sort of commercial or something. But it's so let's just put an instrumental version on in case somebody wants to license that song.
Heck yeah.
So please license that song. That would be cool.
Well, also, I mean, you both have been incredibly generous with your time today, and I just wanted to wrap it up with one final question, which is, do you have any exciting live shows coming up you could tell us about?
That's complicated.
It's complicated?
Well, no, I mean, it's complicated because it's still a lot of people are back to normal, acting like everything's back to normal, and I'm not prepared for that. I mean, I'm not dogging people for gigs because I don't feel comfortable yet. I mean, I got vaccinated really early and did some gigs through the summer. So I did a festival right off the bat.
But it was outdoors. Outdoors is kind of a different.
I was going to shout it out though.
Okay.
Bigfoot Electro in Tennessee, where Likewire was on it as well.
Nice.
I did a couple indoor things in June, and that was all before, or one indoor thing, and then several outdoor things, and that was before Delta. And then my first indoor gig after Delta came, I caught COVID. You know what I mean? And I was vaccinated and I was fine. But
I didn't realize you.
I wasn't trying to be super public about it, but
how was it for you?
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody.
But
Too late.
I had a couple bad nights. It wasn't like a cakewalk, but the vaccine did what it was supposed to do.
Okay. Good.
I can't. And we've had some tragedy. As a lot of people have surrounding COVID.
Yeah, we had a very good friend of ours pass away from COVID.
And and so I'm not trying to act like everything's normal, and yet making money is important, and mental health is important, and a lot of my mental health is helped by doing music and interfacing with people. So I'm not doing things, but I'm not like, hey, check out all my fabulous gigs. Right. Nevertheless, I'm playing in London on the 18th of December.
That's very exciting.
We're going to London for almost the entire month of December. We're going from the 4th to the 25th.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's huge. So tell me about this London gig.
Sure, it was kind of a last minute trip, so we didn't line up a whole bunch of stuff. We're gonna go see a bunch of shows. I had a show on the 12th in Bristol, but they had to cancel it for non-COVID reasons. And then I'm playing a global music party in London on the 18th. It's going to be super fun.
What's the venue?
I have to look it up because I know the name.
While she's looking, I will tell you that we're huge fans of the Boomtown Fair Festival.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite festival. I mean, it's hard to say any festival other than Shambhala is our favorite festival, but this is our favorite festival.
Boomtown is, I mean, Shams is, we love Shams. It's just a different animal than Boomtown. Boomtown is very, very big. It's how many people did you say?
150,000.
150,000 people compared
Oh.
to Shams, which is like, I don't know,
Wow.
17,000 or something. So it's a different animal. But Boomtown is really, it's really, really, really cool. And we went there in 2019 and we were sort of had a lot of momentum with continuing to play and be involved with art projects at that festival going into 2020, but then COVID happened. But there's a Boomtown Fair workers party in Bristol on December 11th, I think. And we're going to go to that, and we're going with a friend of ours who we were part of his camp at Boomtown in 2019, and him and his partner had hooked us up with a bunch of gigs also at Boomtown. So we're hoping to go there and build some relationships, and we're probably going to meet up with Sam Benga when we're there, and we're also going to see a show at a place in London called Phonox. We're going to see Mungo's Hi-Fi there, and they're bringing the sound system from Scotland to Phonox. So that's going to be really special because Mungo's Hi-Fi sound system is spectacular. And then also while we're there, we're going to record the DJ mix for you guys.
Awesome.
That you requested. And we're also hoping to make like a little cute video to go with one of our songs. Hopefully, that's depending on the weather.
Very cool.
Oh, you're waiting on me. Sorry. So the party is called Popola, and it's at what I think is called the Jago, Jago in London, which I just found out something cool as I was sitting here, which is it is in the space that was Passing Clouds that Shakey and I both.
Oh, yeah, that's a great space.
Very enthusiastic about. I guess Passing Clouds doesn't exist anymore, but there's this place in its space, and we've seen epics. I mean, it's such a wonderful like underground venue, or it was.
Yeah,
so
it was really cool.
I am delighted to learn that I'm playing in that space.
That's
under
awesome.
a new name.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and it's thanks. I'm even more excited than before now that I know that.
Yeah, so I don't know. So it's really to be in London, see some incredible shows and build some relationships with some artists and Boomtown people, and I don't know, and then we're coming back and we both have New Year's events that we're playing.
Oh yeah, I'm playing in Richmond, Virginia for Party Liberation Front for their New Year's Eve event called December Ween.
Nice.
Which
great. That's a great event.
It's a great event. We've each played it at various times in the past, and it's like there's such party people in Richmond, Virginia are so great, and
it's true.
I miss them dearly, and I'm so excited. And they're like very bass focused. So if you're on the Mid-Atlantic and you want like bass music, come to this.
That's
and I will rock you on New Year's Eve.
Mr. Jennings is part of that group.
No, sweet.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Well, he has moved on.
Well,
Okay.
he
founded it many years ago and has moved on to his own exploits.
Right.
That's important.
Okay.
Well, cool. Well, it sounds like you have an amazing weeks ahead of you. And
we're working on it. I mean, we have other songs that we can finish up and have another EP soonish, I would think.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. And I can't wait till the EP's released and the house party, so your EP releases on December 28th, the house party's on the 29th, and you'll be your set will be on the house party. So
we'll be freshly back from the UK.
Yeah, we'll be falling asleep on our typewriter.
No. we'll be so hyped.
It'll be a great way to end the year and look forward to hopefully better things to come in 2020.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's for all of us blessings through all of this, and it's not like these times are entirely bad, and there's lessons and joys all throughout, and I also look forward to things being less dangerous and stressful.
Me too. That's what I was hoping for. Because I'm kind of maxed out on the other stuff.
I know. No, me too. Me too.
Yeah, for me to have, no gigs in New York in December is like insane.
Yeah, it's
Right.
unheard of.
Right.
I mean,
Well, thank you so much for your time. This was an amazing, I knew this was going to be an amazing conversation because every time I talk to you, it's an amazing conversation. And I can't wait until we can be together again at a show.
Oh, yeah.
It was great to spend time with you in Brooklyn. I look forward to the next time we get to have fun at a show.
And I look forward to collaborating with you. And
I know.
I don't care the state of your workspace. It doesn't matter to me. I will work upside down in a bat cave. I don't care.
That's nice. That's nice.
that's impressive.
That's nice. Thank you, Lexi. I really want to collaborate with you as
Good.
well.
Good.
Until then, I'll just say congratulations on your EP release, and
Thank you very much. And
wishing-
thanks for all of your assistance and guidance and help along the way. Congratulations to you as well.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
We're
yes,
fans.
thank you. So until next time, stay safe. Peace.
Thanks, everybody. Keep having fun making music.
Sure. And I don't know how long it will be between when we record this and when it goes up, but listen to Spiderhound's newest song, whatever it may be.
Oh, that's nice of you. Very nice.
Spiderhound releases frequently, which is a good plan.
Thank you. I'm glad people are listening. Thank you. All right, peace out.